Thank you for joining us for the first episode of The Arena, presented by the Brian Hamilton Foundation and Junior Achievement. Over the next hour, you'll see some of the nation's top teen entrepreneurs present their business ideas to seasoned business leaders and coaches. Please welcome today's moderator, SmallBizLady, host of the Small Biz Chat podcast, and America's #1 small business expert, Melinda Emerson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. Thank you for joining us on The Arena. I'm Melinda Emerson. And you know, one of the things that I want to be so excited to tell you guys about is that I started out in business as a junior achievement person. So I actually went through the same program that you guys are going through when I was in high school. And lo and behold, I went to college. I majored in communications. But guess what? I ended up being in business. So I want you guys to think about whatever you're excited about. Also, double major in business, minor in business, whatever you do, learn about marketing, because no matter what, whether you end up with a job or business, entrepreneurial thinking is valuable. And what we want to emphasize to you all today is that entrepreneurship is actually a career choice. So The Arena is an action-packed web series where teen entrepreneurs present their businesses to a group of coaches who are successful entrepreneurs, professional athletes, and celebrities. It's not an idea pitch or even a pitch event. These teens already have small businesses and are looking for advice and being able to show off their businesses as an example for use across the country. The coaches know what it's like to be in the arena and will provide advice to the young people that will help you grow your skills as well as your venture. For this episode, we have 5 teens from all parts of the country. We will be meeting them over the course of this program. First, I'm pleased to introduce our 2 coaches. Our first coach is Tracy Tutor. You may know her because she's the star of the Bravo series $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. She's a Wall Street Journal bestselling author, mother, entrepreneur, real estate agent, you name it. Tracy, welcome. And give us just a few words about why you're so excited about young people wanting to learn about entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much, Melinda. I am excited, and thank you, Brian, for putting this together. You guys, I just feel like the kids today have so much opportunity to be the greatest that they can be at the early ages that you guys are all doing this. I mean, the fact that I'm sitting across from you all on a Zoom right now just says something about where we are and where we've come from. So for me, speaking to young adults about being entrepreneurs and starting early is like the greatest gift I can get, because it took me 20 years to get to this place. And I want you guys to have that kind of success a lot earlier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Tracy, for being with us. And our second coach is one of our personal rock stars. He's one of the wins behind this whole program. He is the co-founder of Sageworks, and he's a dedicated entrepreneurship educator and philanthropist as the founder of the Brian Hamilton Foundation. Brian, thank you so much for all you do for youth entrepreneurship, and thank you for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? The key rule today is we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about being an entrepreneur, starting businesses. I would add to Tracy's very nice dialogue to say that I started really early. My mom tells me that I started at like 6 or 7. I don't remember that, but I do remember 9, 10, 11, middle school, high school. The earlier you can start, the more you're going to learn. So congratulations. We're looking forward to it. But let's have fun. Let's keep it loose. You know, I'm the boring, serious guy. You know, we got Tracy. She's the TV star and expert too. So I think between us, we'll have some good chemistry, and hopefully we'll be able to help you out.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brian. Now, our first entrepreneur is from Fort Worth, Texas. Please welcome Kaliegh Dixon. Kaliegh, please tell us about your business.
Thank you so much. My name is Kaliegh Dixon, and I'm the founder and president of a company called Feel the Color. And at Feel the Color, we create embroidered fabric tags with Braille and alphabet lettering, enabling those with visual impairments the chance to literally feel the color of their clothing. So growing up, I was often watched by my legally blind Aunt Scent, and she loved fashion, but she would have a hard time being able to identify and match the color of her clothing on her own. So she would have to ask me to help her to match and identify her own clothing. So back when I was in high school, I was a part of a business academy, and our first project was to create an innovation plan. And I had no idea about any company that I wanted to start because I thought every product had already been created. But after doing extensive research and working with countless amounts of people who are visually impaired in my area, I learned that this is a struggle that people who are visually impaired face on a daily basis. Always asking, what color are these shorts? Will they match this shirt or blouse? And that's how Feel the Color was started. And it is so crazy because nothing like this has ever been done before. And so now I'm 4 years later after the starting Feel the Color, and we have won countless amounts of grants. We've been able to connect with so many people who are visually impaired in my local area. And I'm so proud to say that we are continuously growing, even in the middle of this pandemic. And we are so proud to be on a path of creating a world where the visually impaired can do all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaliegh. What an innovative young person you are. I really appreciated learning about your business. And it's always great when you start a business where you have a personal reason for doing so. So congratulations to you. Now, Tracy and Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you guys to give the advice. Brian, can you start by just talking about sort of like a little bit of history of business and how important it is to have a problem that you're solving?
Yeah, well, I love the story, Kaliegh. By the way, I super love the name Feel the Color. That's a great name. Did you come up with that name or family?
I'm gonna give my aunt credit for that one right there.
That's good. See, you don't want to get sued by her, so that's a good idea. You know, that's called attribution. That's very smart, right? But on a serious note, it's a good question. I mean, what I love about the story is that when I look back on my life, I mean, I was the first person in my family to go to college. I went to Duke, and I got out of Duke, and I got into coin laundromats. My father thought I was crazy. I was 27, and I started there. But the point of that is that began as a very early journey where I saw there was an acute need for very high quality laundry services, particularly in areas that were a little bit deprived. Maybe they don't have everything. So it came from a personal need. And that's why I like your story, because the greatest business ideas come from some personal interaction you have with the problem. Take, Scott Cook, the founder of Intuit, QuickBooks, Quicken, Quick Loans, all this other stuff. That business began in 1982 at a coffee table where his wife was having a hard time balancing her checkbook. And he thought to himself, wow, that's a problem that computers can actually solve. So I commend you. It's a great way to do it, because in some ways, the best way to start a company is when you're the customer, right? You know the pain. And so I really love that. Hey, before I go to Tracy, I don't want to take her airtime. She's got to get in here, right? But I have a question for you. Are you guys making money now? Where are you? Are you building a team? Are you out selling? Tell me where you are. You get $1 of revenue yet? Just to give me some background.
So we've gotten some grants, but I had planned to launch at the beginning of this year in early spring. But as we all know, March happened and COVID kind of took over. So that pushed the launch back until later in next year. But the goal is to hire people who are visually impaired, because 70% of those with visual impairments are unemployed. So right now we're currently looking to hire people who are visually impaired in our local area to give them employment and raise the economic standpoint for people with disabilities.
Hey, by the way, Tracy, just real quickly, I just want to throw this in real fast before we move to you. It's just what you're noticing, the phenomenon across the United States is I think it's very promising for the future of the country. I really do. I'm not just saying that because the kids now want to be capitalists, right? Capitalism is good. We create value. You can't make money unless you're creating value, right? Sometimes you hear about the billionaires and how terrible they are. You got to create value. So I love that. But what I like about your generation, not the old people like me, is that you guys are more focused as a generation. The people in college I work with, the high school kids, you're more focused on, I don't want to say socially conscious, but I want to go into business, but I want to do society. I want to give them a solid, I want to help society. So that is a great trend that I think is going to create a tailspin for all businesses in the country.
Okay, I have some questions for you. How are you? And I love, love, love the idea that you have, and I love that there's a connection between you and your aunt. But are you having fun so far? Are you comfortable on this Zoom? because I'm going to come at you.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
good.
so excited.
Let's talk about a couple of things, because the idea is phenomenal. You clearly know how to pitch, which is, by the way, your elevator pitch is going to be the most important thing that you have. The fact that you have grants speaks to your ability to speak to an audience, which is a huge thing when you're starting a business and you're raising capital, right? So you were talking about you have some grants, and obviously COVID has gotten a little bit in the way. But now what I want you to remember is you have to be able to pivot, right? Because in life and in business, we're always going to hit a wall somewhere along the line. There's going to be an election, there's going to be COVID, there's going to be all sorts of roadblocks. So with the grants that you currently have, and obviously running into COVID, how are you considering your relaunch strategy?
So that's definitely been a big focus that I've really been thinking on, is how to pivot and how to navigate. And so at the beginning, when the pandemic first happened, we were able to just work with people who are visually impaired, and just in a way to understand where they are currently and best understand how to meet their needs and how to serve them. So when we do prepare for a launch, that they can know that we're there to support them. And so that's one thing we definitely did pivot on, is getting as involved as we could. So whether that was helping with meals or medicine or different types of things, to have them know that we're supporting them right along while also preparing for a launch at the same time.
Right. And actually, Tracy, I want to kind of spin off your point. I think Tracy's getting to a great point, which is, you know, I talk to entrepreneurs all the time, and Melinda, you know this too. It's like, how do we get $1? Let's try to get $1 billion. We're going to try to get $1 billion, but how do we get our first sale? You know, we got the business, we got the grants. And by the way, Tracy, that's spot on. You're right. You got to be able to communicate, and that's hard to do. I mean, when I was in high school, I would have freaked out in this environment. You're doing a great job, right? So you can present, you can do that. The only thing I would add, and I think it's a spin-off on Tracy's excellent point, which is, how do we pivot to get some cash? Let's get one sale. You know what I mean? Tracy, you know this from real estate. I used to be in that. Like, we got to go get a sale, get one sale, and that becomes what we call proof of concept, and then we can grow from there. So I don't know how far you are from your first dollar, and I understand that, you know, we've had some things that have happened, but I'm not, Kaliegh, I'm not talking just to you on this one. I'm saying for everybody listening, I always want to know, it's great. I mean, I ran a software company. I sold it after 20 years to a PE firm, all this other stuff, but I was always interested, how do I get my first dollar of revenue? So Tracy, I don't know if you want to add anything to that or go in a different direction, but.
Well, I was really thinking about your launch, because, and the reason I actually relate to this very much, and I think this will relate with all of you, is Brian was saying earlier, I launched a book, my first book, maybe even my only book, in the middle of COVID. And I was terrified because I couldn't go out and do book signings. I couldn't meet and connect with people, which is what I felt I did best, and what was going to be my real ability to turn them into sales, right? And I recognized early on that I was going to need some digital help. And so I think it's about sitting down and saying to yourself, okay, COVID isn't going to allow me to throw a big event or work with a charity for the visually impaired, so that I can tap into a larger audience, for example. Like, I don't know how your original launch strategy was done, but I think you can start thinking about taking it to an online audience and putting some of the grants that you've had towards the dollars in reaching the communities that you need to reach. Because the truth is, guys, you guys are more connected online and digitally than I am, certainly, and definitely Brian as well. We are from a different generation than you guys. This is where you guys come from. It's where you thrive. So I would really think about tapping into that, because, you know, my daughter just, funnily enough, right before this, started her own online business doing horse cookies, and she started it on social media, and follows all the horseback riding people and dog lovers and stuff. And that's how she's going about it. So I think that what you can do is sit down and, you know, we are going to be challenged in COVID for quite some time, you guys. So we can't wait to start our businesses until it's over. We have to pivot and figure out how to reach people online, which is something that you guys are much more comfortable in, and an avenue that I think that you guys can be attacking.
One of the things that I wanted to ask too, Kaliegh, is, are you selling your product to retailers, or are you selling it to consumers? That was the one thing I wasn't completely clear on.
So we definitely want to sell it to both. So right now we want to build a portfolio of selling to people who are visually impaired, so that when we do get to a point where we can pitch to retailers and say, hey, we have this large demographic that you're missing out on with people with visual impairment, so you really want to buy into this idea and concept.
Awesome.
Are there any people that you can tap into in your world? Because obviously what you have, I think, is incredibly marketable. It's totally missing from the market. And there are obviously, I mean, you probably know the numbers better than all of us, but how many people this could reach, right? Is there any celebrity, person of interest, influencer, etc., that you might be able to tap into and connect with and maybe help you sort of blow this up on social media? Because I think going direct to consumer for you is where you want to be right now, and then the retailers will follow. But you got to build that business online and have a rollout plan so that you can say, okay, for the next 12 months, which is arguably how long we're going to be dealing with COVID, potentially even longer, don't wait. Get online, let's come up with a concept, and let's start selling direct to consumer and tap into whatever connections you have, because your idea is so good and there's so many people that have big followings. I'm inspired by what you're doing. So to me, I mean, you want to connect with an influencer potentially that might be able to assist you in reaching a broader audience. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. And that's something we will be working on within the next couple of weeks.
Good for you. That's great.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited to hear all of this great advice. So I wanted to ask you one last question, Kaliegh. What is the biggest challenge that you're facing? Like, other than COVID, like before COVID, what is the biggest challenge that your business is actually facing?
The biggest challenge so far it's kind of more so on a business point, but also for me, I'm still in college. And so having to navigate these different roles between being a business owner, being a college student, and how does me being a college student affect me being a business owner, you know, and kind of the time management piece of it all, you know, juggling the roles that you have.
Well, I think that that's a struggle that you might have for the rest of your life, because I still have it. But I want to give you one piece of advice about that. One of the things that I try to do so that I don't overwhelm myself is write down 5 priorities the day before. And I try to get my 5 top priorities done by 11 a.m. So anything else I get done after that is pure gravy. So if you operate yourself like that, and maybe your class, you don't sign up for those 8 a.m. classes, you're working on your business from 8 to 11, and then you start your classwork after that, that might be a good strategy for you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you not to study. That would be terrible advice. I didn't study in high school, but I did study in college actually. But on a serious note, it's hard to balance that stuff. Absolutely understood. But that's the beautiful thing about technology. You can leverage it. You know, it's not something that you have to be working 8 to 5 or something like that. And by the way, Melinda, it's funny. You said 11 o'clock at night. My kids, when they were in college, they were up till like 4 o'clock in the morning. So, which I can't do. But I totally appreciate balancing schedules and stuff like that. But again, anything you can do, any all the thousands of the kids out there all through the U.S. today, anything that you can do to incrementally start something, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to, you know, Tracy, I'm sure you've been through that. You know, you're out, you got to sell, you got to do deals, you learn about interacting with people. I mean, and I've got an MBA and all this stuff, and maybe I use some of that, you know, but not really that much. It's really about people and interacting and pitching and communicating and how to negotiate. And, you know, you got a partner, maybe they don't do what they're supposed to do. It's a great time of your life to do this in high school, college, whatever, because that experience it's not even noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yep.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I am the queen of being stretched too thin. I mean, I'm going in 10 different directions at all times, and I have 2 girls, and I wrote a book, and I'm shooting a TV show, and then I have my real business, which is selling real estate. So I very, very much understand you, and it isn't going to go away. What I have found is done a lot of self-assessment on myself, and I think that's something that is so important for all of you guys to do, and recognize where your weaknesses are, because a lot of the time when you're writing down your strengths and your weaknesses, those weaknesses can be filled by someone else. You know, there's certain things that you might not be as proficient at as you would like to be. And that's where I felt that, you know, having a team that is supportive of you in areas where you might not shine as much can sort of fill the void and be able to create what you actually need to succeed. And maybe for you, I don't know, you know, where, you know, you feel pulled. Obviously, timing and schedule for you is really, really challenging. So, you know, maybe having someone that you respect or admire come in and help you with your schedule a little bit, and being a little bit more militant about how, you know, a lot of times we get lost in something, and we can, because we love doing it, we can spend hours and hours and hours on it. And it's sometimes can be a great idea to really be militant about your schedule, and you've got 1 hour here and 30 minutes there, and that might help.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to make that, Tracy, we're going to have to make that the last word. We've got to get on to our next student. But Jakayla, I hope that you've gleaned a lot of pearls of wisdom here, and I can't wait to see what you end up becoming down the road. Good luck. Our next entrepreneur is Aiden Lawley from Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. Aiden, I hope you're up, and we want to hear about your business.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Hey, Tracy, Brian, my name's Aiden. I'm 16 years old. I live in the Raleigh-Durham area. I've been interested in business and entrepreneurship from a young age, working on multiple ventures throughout my teenage years. Though when I was 15, I started a Christmas lighting company. I had an older friend that had been doing it for a while, and I saw how much demand there was with not enough supply. For me, this is a seasonal business. This year, I'm focused on a few repeat commercial clients in order to manage my high school requirements and college classes. I differ from the competition by a relentless commitment to work, or to deliver. Last year, I had to work 40 hours straight with no sleep and put in over 80 hours in 1 week to ensure the job was complete. I'm not specifically interested in growing a commercial lighting business per se, though this is a great opportunity for me to learn essential business and marketing skills, communicating with executives, as well as managing crews and the logistics. What I'd like your advice on, you guys' advice on, is kind of figuring out how to turn these experiences into a business that I'd really like to build, as well as turn these commercial clients into other potential business opportunities.
Well,
Yeah, I'm gonna, Aiden, I have to jump in here. I think Raleigh-Durham, you're stalking me, man. I remember you from the Mark Cuban event. It's good to see you again. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. All kidding aside. So, I just want to frame things. Like, so are you doing commercial lighting right now? Is that the business we're talking about now? Or are you? Yeah, we're focusing on that. Okay.
Yeah, like Christmas lighting for commercial.
Got it. And you're making money. You're getting cash. You're getting revenue. You're making deposits to a bank account and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. Do you have any partners or other kids helping you out, or is it basically you? Because I started that way, exactly what you're doing, just going on. Tracy, you probably did too. You and Melinda as well. You're out there. You're just making money. You're turning money. You start as a solo person and you build up from there. It's how most great businesses are started. Are you working with partners right now, Aiden, or is it kind of?
Last year I was working with a partner, though this year I'm working by myself. It's no need for the partner. It definitely is useful. It was useful last year, though. I have a few people that I'm hiring that I should be able to manage it by myself, especially that I
want to turn this over to Melinda and Tracy. One last thing I'd say, just again, I want to address your point, because I hear your question, I think, but also everybody who's listening. The one thing I'd say, and I know it sounds like a platitude, I mean, it really does, right? It's like a bumper sticker, but it's true. Where do you want to be in life? You want to intersect what you love with what is needed. Mm-hmm. What you love to do you'd almost do it for free, right? With what is needed. And I know that's a bumper sticker, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at Melinda, you look at Tracy, these successful people, they have found something. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these people, Zuckerberg, they like to do that stuff. And then there happened to be a need. So with regard to your specific question, I always encourage people, what do you like to do? Like for me, I'm a geek, I really am. I love developing technology products. I would do it for free. I mean, I can do that now, not in the old days, but I like doing it. So I like the challenge. I love the technology problems, the platforms. So it's very hard to say, where you should go, but I would say for everybody listening, try to, again, I don't want to turn this into a lecture, but just one quick thing. I know so many adults, and I feel bad, and I really do. I empathize totally. They're in a job they don't like, and I'm like, look, you got 24 hours in a day. You're going to be working 8 to 10 hours a day. That's a third, maybe half of your life. Do something you like to do, but it's got to intersect with a market. And then finally, scalability. What do you want to be? You want to be a billionaire? You want to be, they tell me, Charlie's over here on my right, he's the president, that the guy from Amazon is going to be our first trillionaire. I don't know. But you want to be a billionaire? Do you want to be? So you got to kind of know where you're going. Certain businesses, like service businesses, are a little harder to scale, Aiden, which you're probably finding out. But I want to let Melinda and Tracy get in.
Well, I really wanted to ask the question to you, Aiden. I know you said you're not interested in scaling up a commercial lighting business, but if I were you, I'd find somebody to sell your customers to so that you walk away with a little check in your pocket. Let me just say that. But I also think that, you need to continue your studies and figure out what you're passionate about. Learn, you need to become expert at something and then turn that into a business. So I don't know what you're majoring in college, but I think that there's value in, if you become an engineer, creating an engineering consulting firm, right? So I think you've got to figure out what is it you're passionate about, what is it that you're going to become expert in, and that might present to you the opportunity of your business that ends up being your career.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Need to find that passion that I'm really interested in.
I am going to say something that's going to be a little off the cuff here, so hang in there. Obviously, commercial lighting is not your passion. Mm-hmm. That's okay. And I don't want to send the message out there to young people that you got to figure it out in college, because sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't figure it out in college. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on you guys to feel like you have to know what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 18 years old and you're picking your major and you're like, I don't know. I mean, I was an actor. That is what I was passionate about. For me, it came full circle because I decided to get out of acting 2 years after college because I wanted to make money. And so I started in real estate because acting was not a career that was maybe going to, be driving money into my pocket, and I could wake up at 45 years old like I am today and be working as a waitress. And I didn't want to do that. So I got real with myself and I took my real estate test and ended up working in real estate. And that became a passion, okay? Because I was making a lot of money doing it. And so once I became passionate about it, it's funny how things come full circle. And now I'm on a TV show. But sometimes the things that you might find yourself attracted to can lead to other things. For example, being in sales and being in real estate is all about being able to talk to people and connect, right? I got that skill set in college by acting. So for you, I say, what you're trying to figure out is how to make this business make you money for the time being so you can learn how to become an entrepreneur. The idea will come later, right? Whatever you're passionate about or whatever maybe this drives you into something else that surprises you. But I would say figure out how to ride this holiday season out and see how much money you can make and try to set a goal for yourself that doubles it to next year. And that might mean for you that you do have to bring someone else on and pay them $10 an hour or whatever, because if it's more money in your pocket, that's how you scale a business. And what you will find by sometimes, again, working with a team and not just doing all the work on your own is you might be able to scale something and make triple what you made last year. Surprise yourself and see where that goes, because starting a business, and if you talk to entrepreneurs throughout their career, like anyone that you meet that you admire, they didn't start the business that they're in at 50, at 13 or 14 or 18 years old. They started other businesses. I started selling suits to men when I was 15 years old. So what you realize is you're good at something. I realized I was good at selling.
Yeah, Tracy, there. Sorry, I mean, there's like, I got like 10 amen points in there that I want to hallelujah. I mean, unbelievable. But I don't want to miss the big one to me, Tracy, which is, and I'm so glad you brought it up. People like, the adults, they're out there, the mom, the dad, the aunt, the uncle. The idea that you have to know what you are going to do at 21 years old. I'm 57. I still haven't figured that out. Yeah. And I think your point is absolutely correct, which is don't put pressure on yourself that you need to, know exactly what you got to do. I mean, the truth is entrepreneurism is a profession, so you can try different things. And by the way, Charlie reminded me of something while you were talking, Aiden. I want to make sure I get this in here. One of the reasons you were invited today is because I want everybody to hear it. You don't need to be a technology entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur. You do not need to be on the cover of Forbes. You do not need to be a billionaire. You do not need to be me. When I was your age, I was doing landscaping and roofs, and I was painting, and so I want everyone to hear this. We talked to Mark last time, Mark Cuban. I love the guy, right? But I think that there's such and he would agree. There's so much emphasis that we're going to start a tech company and be the next Facebook or Snapchat or whatever. The fact is, the majority of businesses, the vast majority, are service businesses, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're a kid, don't think that you got to go out and invent something in order to be an entrepreneur. What you're doing right now is terrific. You're turning dollars. You got to talk to people. You got customer issues coming up. People might be unreasonable sometimes with you, right? You're learning to deal with that. So I really commend you. But going back to Tracy, hallelujah. I mean, the idea that at 21, we got to know exactly what kind of entrepreneur we're going to be and get fixed on that. We have to dispel that. That was a generational thing that was true maybe in the 80s and 90s. It is absolutely not true in your generation.
I think you make some very, very valid points, Brian. And Aiden, I hope that you've gotten some really good insight from this, because we've got to move on to our next entrepreneur. So thank you so much for being with us. Our next entrepreneur is from Davie, Florida, and it is Rumi Peretz. And Rumi, I understand your business is focused on preventing the spread of germs. Boy, does that seem timely. Can you tell us more about your business?
Hi guys, my name's Romy. So after falling asleep on an airplane tray table in July of 2019, one of our partners woke up with a terrible rash on his face. After researching the cleanliness of airplane tray tables, we found out that they are 8 times dirtier than a toilet flush button. Specifically, studies have shown that airplane tray tables contain more cold and flu viruses, and most recently, COVID-19. We researched to identify potential solutions and found limited options on the marketing lead. And that led to the creation of Germ Genie airplane tray table placemats. We realized that with navigating through a world full of dangerous germs, bacteria, and allergens, it's tricky. So we expanded to the idea of the Germ Genie travel pack, a small pouch that provides all the essentials you need for staying germ-free on the go. It contains face masks, hand sanitizers, non-latex gloves, disinfectant wipes, a headrest cover, and our signature component is a package of tray table placemats that we designed and manufactured ourselves. This package can be used anywhere: air travel, gas station, movie theaters, fast food restaurants, because germs are everywhere. We would have never predicted that mere months later, the COVID-19 pandemic would hit, leaving us to face every imaginable obstacle in our first year of running a business. Specifically, in creating our on-the-go sanitation kit for travelers, we faced battles of sourcing extremely limited products and reducing lead times from international suppliers due to the emergence of COVID-19. But by pivoting to different manufacturers and products to meet the growing needs of our customers and perseverance, we were met with marked success. Now, beyond junior achievement, we have expanded our company and developed it into a limited liability company. We are continuing to grow using our social media platforms as a way to advertise and educate people about our product, and have made it a priority to give back to our community, donating both our profits to local hospitals and organizations, and essential products to our local homeless shelters. We also give discount codes to returning customers to incentivize them to return and place another order for our product. We also value the importance of adding a personal touch to each purchase by including thank you notes in all our packages and maintaining excellent customer service.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Rumi, for explaining your business. Wow, I feel like I'm waiting for your IPO on Wall Street. So tell us, what is your biggest challenge that you're facing now? Is it that you just need more staff? What's going on with your business?
So right now we're doing really well. The biggest challenge we are facing is getting in more product. Those types of products that we include in our travel pack are extremely limited, but we've pivoted, as I said before, to different manufacturers, ordering from different places as well, just trying to make our product work.
Excellent. Brian and Tracy, I need you guys to ask 2 questions each.
Okay. I'm just first of all blown away, but I'm going to cut to the chase. So who's we? How many people are on your team at this point?
So we have a team of 5 people, myself and 4 of my peers from schools. Their names are Henry, Daniel, Jonah, and Benji.
Okay. And how is your return customer? How is that? Are you experiencing multiple reorders? Are people ordering in bulk? And how much is the package? So
this is our travel pack. The regular travel pack sells for $19.99, and our deluxe travel pack, which includes more products such as KN95 masks, first aid kit, headrest cover, sells for much more. And then this is our tray table placemat covers. It comes in a package. We've reduced it from 15 to 10 to 4 due to customer feedback. And our package of 15 sells for $9.99.
And what is your most successful product? Is it the deluxe pack? Because I buy the deluxe pack.
So right now, our most successful product is the deluxe package because it includes literally everything you need. And
how much is that?
Our deluxe pack is $35.99.
And what is it costing you to put together that pack?
That pack cost us around $17 to put together.
So you're basically killing it.
It's actually fascinating, Rumi. Nice to meet you, by the way. And it's amazing that this was pre-COVID, because I would see this as a huge opportunity. Although the fellow who had his face on one of those plates, I wouldn't have done that just intuitively, but whatever. On a serious note, though, you have just for everybody too. Like, this is a very strange dynamic. This is the rich person's problem, right? You've got excess demand probably, right? But you're maybe having some difficulty with supply. Just so you know, and really seriously, that's rare, very rare. Usually most businesses are demand constrained. They're having a hard time getting the sales, right? But sounds like you got the sales, but you're having a hard time on the supply side. So that, just so you know, that's an incredibly good problem to have. So you're actually making money. I mean, I don't know if this is confidential or anything, but like, are you making $1 a month, $1 a week, $1 a year, $1 billion a year? How are you doing financially, roughly?
So far, we've reached a revenue of over $65,000.
That's impressive. Wow. Congratulations. And that's on products. That's not services. That's basically you're selling stuff over the internet and shipping and getting people stuff.
Yeah, that's all products.
And is that ever since you started the business or just this year?
We started selling our product in November of last year, so less than a year.
Wow. If you don't mind, just one quick question, Melinda, before we move on. I know we're on a schedule, but this is it's a rare dynamic. If I'm working with Aiden in a services company, he's probably consistently profitable, might have some difficulty scaling it, but it's okay because he's profitable. He's making money, putting it in the bank account, right? This is one of those rare cases where I'm sure, you've considered this. Have you thought about raising money or, getting capital, right? Equity capital. Someone writes a check, they put it in, and you give them a stock certificate.
Yeah, so far, all the money that we've put into the business has been our own money. that we've had saved up. That's how we bought all of our initial products.
Right.
And then, of course, we're reinvesting all the money that we make back into the business just to continue growing.
Right.
From a competition over the summer, we have received just a small grant that we've been able to use for marketing for our product. But yeah, that's something that we definitely want to look into in the future, especially if we're lucky enough to get a big purchase order from a corporate company.
Yeah, well, just so you know, demand being oversupply, very rare. And you have what's called proof of concept, meaning you have dollars that you've generated. It's real customers, right? Maybe they're happy and you've got some nice reviews online or whatever. Like, that's a point at which you can actually raise capital. Just so, not that you want to, but you might think about it. I mean, this is a scalable business. Very interesting.
I would agree, and I would just say, I don't know how you're selling it, what channels you're using, but this is also a product that would be amazing on Amazon with some Amazon ads. So I would just point that out to you as well, in addition to selling on your own website. So thank you, Rumi, for being with us. We are going to now go on to our next entrepreneur, who is Susan Croft from North Carolina. Susan, tell us where you are in North Carolina and tell us about your business.
So my name is Susan Croft. I am 12 years old and I live in Hillsborough, North Carolina. I own and run Tiny Treats Bakery. A little background is when I was growing up, we would go over to my grandparents' house mostly every single Sunday for dinner. While I was there, my grandma and I would always bake a cake. No matter what time of the day, whether it was 1 a.m. or 6 p.m., she would be down to bake a cake. I love that I got to spend time with grandma, and that's where my love for baking was born. Then in 4th grade, I took a culinary class that increased my passion for being in the kitchen. About a year ago, I took another baking class with a lady from our church, and that was when I decided to launch a baking business. In the beginning, it was slow, and only a few people submitted orders for custom baked goods like cakes or cookies. I now have 2 reoccurring customers that buy multiple loaves of bread from me each week, and that is currently what I'm focusing on. I'm here to get your advice about how I can grow my business.
Thank you so much, Susan, for explaining your business. Brian, do you want to dive in?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm overwhelmed. It's an incredible presentation at 12 years old. It's amazing, truly, it really is. And I mean, I guess I'd say to you, you know, I'll buy something from you. You know, we're almost neighbors, kind of. Just to keep that in mind for you or your parents or whatever. But I guess on a serious level, is like, if you might, I mean, I know you're 12, and my goal when I was 12 was to be like a professional football player. Just to put this in context, you know, that wasn't going to happen. I didn't know it, but it wasn't going to happen. So I'm really impressed with what you're doing. So, but what are your kind of maybe short run goals, Susan? Like over the next 6 months or month or a year, what do you want to get out of the business? You know, before we can kind of advise you, you know, maybe how to get there. Like, what would you like? You know, you want a sustainable, profitable business. What would you like out of it? You know.
Well, so right now I'm working on getting more customers, whether they're reoccurring or just one time, or maybe they order once a month or every 2 months. So just getting those reoccurring orders helps, like, guarantee I have that income. And currently the income that I get just goes back into my business. So I started it at the beginning of this year, right slightly after the quarantine order was issued. So it was really slow at first, but the thing that I'm working on currently is getting recurring customers, so then I can just have that, like, guaranteed, not necessarily guaranteed, but that income that at least one person is going to order again.
Right, and are you selling over the internet or door to door at fairs, word of mouth, flyers?
So
Yeah.
I originally sent out an email to some people in my church, and I was just like, hey, do you want to buy something? And I got my first order while I was on a trip. So I just emailed them and I said, hey, I can't bring your order by, but I will bring it by. And after that, she bought bread each week, and it was really slow. So after that, I just texted a family friend and I was like, hey, can I bring you a loaf of bread? You don't have to pay for it. And I told her a little bit about my business. And word of mouth is one of my main goals. It's pretty awesome in my opinion because basically you're getting people to do advertising for you for free.
Yeah.
So, and then I have a website that I have, and then I have social media that I've been starting to get running and advertise.
Susan, what is your website, by the way?
TinyTreatsBakeryNC.com.
Okay. Sorry, Tracy, you want to go ahead?
I was going to say, I'm glad you have a website, which is great. And obviously I relate to this because my daughter started her horse and dog treat cookie company recently as well. So it's similar. And during quarantine, I think a lot of people started baking, right? So that was something that I think a lot of people missed, being at home cooking, and it reminds everybody of family. And so what that's all bringing me to is, how can we market you in a way that kind of keeps people, because I think what everybody's missing and what we all sort of had in the beginning of quarantine was that connection, right? And that's why people were cooking at home again and baking. And I mean, I was like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to be like a 2-ton Annie. But but it was what's made it. It is that connection, like you were talking about your grandmother. So I feel like there's some marketing that you need to be doing here, because there's a lot of bakers out there, right? But how do you differentiate yourself? And maybe it is the story with your grandma, and maybe it is taking some video of you and your grandma talking about baking, or doing some YouTube videos where there's this person that I follow on Instagram that you should check out. And it's this little boy, which you guys might already know because you guys are all young and stuff. This like toddler kid who cooks with his mom, and he makes like everything under the sun, and he's throwing stuff everywhere. But the point of my story is, she's like, they've got millions of followers now because they're telling a story while they're cooking about what it is that their experience is. So what an interesting story that you and your grandmother have, because really what sales is about is connection to people. And you can buy a piece of baked bread at the supermarket, but why are they buying it from you? Because it's made with love, with your grandma, and there's like a great story there. I would focus on that in your social media and in some video content that you might do with your grandma, which I think will connect with your audience. And then the only other thing I wanted to say to you is, you're talking about your neighbors. You're talking about people down the street. Think bigger. Mail the bread. Why can't the bread be overnighted? Figure out what it costs to overnight the bread to Los Angeles. I'll buy the bread, and then you upcharge, or we pay for our own shipping of this homemade banana bread or whatever bread you're making. I don't know how many things you make, but I had a friend that did the same thing. And what happened is people started giving them as housewarming gifts and as something to bring to or send to someone that isn't feeling good, or someone that has COVID, or there's so many ways to connect the dots there, and you can just figure out what it's going to cost you to ship that stuff, and then start to market you and your grandmother. And there, I think, is going to be, I think you'll see some real traction there.
Yeah. So funny story about shipping baked goods. It was probably a week or two ago that I checked my order forms, and I realized that I had an order for a cake. The only problem is I hadn't thought to set that we were currently only delivering to Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill areas. So I got an order from Florida, and I was kind of freaking out, and I'm like, what do I do? So I started researching the cost to ship and like what I need for that. So that's really helpful that I now have somebody who's like, okay, do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do it. You just have to make sure that you're shipping it. You want your product to arrive as if it was arriving to someone that lives in your area, right? So I think that that's a great way for you to expand. But just remember that one piece: marketing is everything. That's what's going to separate you from everybody else. So your story with your grandma is the story that you should be telling.
That's great. Thank you so much, Tracy and Susan. That was really, really good advice, Susan. It sounds like you're whipping up a great, great business. All right, finally, we're going to go to Denver, Colorado. I'm pleased to introduce Jack Bonneau, and Jack has already had a career as a serial entrepreneur. But Jack, can you tell us what you're up to these days?
Thank you. And I want to thank Junior Achievement for this opportunity to share my startup, Teen Hustle. My name is Jack Bonneau, and I'm the founder and chief evangelist of Teen Hustle. This is my second startup. My first business, Jack Stands in Marketplaces, I was able to successfully pitch on Shark Tank when I was 10 years old. Jack Stands in Marketplaces provided kids between 7 and 12 years old the opportunity to sell lemonade, iced tea, and great products made by other kids entrepreneurs at local farmers markets, malls, and events. When I turned 13, I wanted to create a business that would appeal more to teenagers, and I learned about paper routes. In the early 1980s, there were nearly 1 million teenagers delivering newspapers nationwide, delivering billions of newspapers monthly. Teenagers were the backbone of the newspaper industry for over 100 years. But over the last 2 decades, these jobs and opportunities for teenagers and their great work has disappeared. But I'm bringing back these great opportunities for teenagers with Teen Hustle. Teen Hustle is a last-mile delivery service operated 100% by local teenagers on electric scooters and personal bikes, delivering from local restaurants, grocery and convenience stores, and offering Amazon package delivery and returns to and from Amazon lockers, 100% operated by teenagers. Teen Hustle is also the first to offer at-home convenience for Amazon package delivery and returns to and from Amazon lockers.
Wow. Man, I cannot wait to see what you become later on, because you're a real dynamo. I actually saw the episode where you pitched on Shark Tank. I remember you. So Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you.
No, I don't think so. Turn it over to Jack. I think Jack should be the teacher, actually. That's hilarious. That's funny. Now I'm getting this visual of a bunch of like 14 and 15-year-olds on scooters with stuff. And but I'm serious. I love that people are trying these things. I just a couple of really particular questions, Jack. Are you guys generating revenue right now? Or you're out, you're on the internet, tell me where the business is now.
Yes, we're revenue generating. We have one location right now, but we have plans to expand to 2 others in the next month. And we have about half a dozen teen hustlers working for us right now, and we have another half dozen on a waiting list.
Okay, this sounds like a fancy question. I'm going to turn it over to Melinda and Tracy. It's not. I'm trying to assess where you are, but are you going to use kind of like an Uber strategy where you kind of go city-centric and you nail it and then you move from there, or are you going to try to just go nationwide? Or tell me about what's the rollout strategy?
Yes, it's similar to that. What we're trying to do right now is just establish one solid location and get everything working at this location, and then duplicate that at other locations. And another thing that we're doing is we're actually working with the Denver Police Department. They are one of the few police departments that actually track package theft as something separate than just normal theft. What we're trying to do is over the holiday season, I want to establish different Amazon locker locations where we offer delivery and returns, because that eliminates the threat of porch package theft. That's another thing that
interesting. By the way, what's the demand like? Are you getting people, like, is there demand? You're getting customers. It's organic. How much market? Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, definitely there's the demand. The way we market is door to door. We have teen hustlers going and handing out door hangers. We advertise on platforms like nextdoor.com, through local media, and then just word of mouth. Yeah.
It's hard in the frame of this tight frame, because I want to get to our other speakers, but to give really great advice. So we're trying to give advice for you, but for everybody else too. But we've got at least a couple of businesses, and it's not always a good thing to raise money. It's not. I mean, usually, remember, when you raise money, you get equity. You got to consider debt. It's got to be paid back. People forget about that. But you may be another candidate for outside equity. Maybe, I don't know, but really interesting. He's trying to take over Amazon delivery with a bunch of teenagers. I love it. I love you already, Jack. I mean, that's just the idea, but I would say on this type of business, depending upon what you want to do in school and whatever else, this could be a scalable business. Is it hard to get teenagers to sign up on the supply side, or is that pretty good, easy, or what?
Not really. I mean, there are definitely teenagers, and I've seen this, that want these opportunities to learn, get involved with the workforce, and learn these valuable skills about being an entrepreneur and these valuable social and life skills.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Awesome.
I just want to understand what the Amazon locker thing is. Are you working directly with Amazon? What is that, Jack?
Sure. Yeah, let me explain that. So we are not working directly with Amazon. The problem. I think the statistic is every day 1.7 million packages online are stolen every day. So there's a lot of package theft out there. So what we do is instead of having the customer order their Amazon package and have it sent directly to their home, where it's just sitting on the their porch, what Teen Hustle does is we have them send their Amazon package to an Amazon locker. Then the customer, when they know that the package has been delivered to the locker, they'll send Teen Hustle all the information, where the locker is, what the code is, and then the Teen Hustler, after school or on the weekend, will deliver that package to the customer at a time of their choosing when they're home. So this completely eliminates the threat of porch package theft because we're delivering it to the customer when they're home.
Interesting. And have you thought about, because I think it depends on where you live, and obviously where you're starting, you want to attack your community, which I think is a really good idea in terms of a growth strategy. What about just delivery of food? Like, I'm thinking of, like, have you guys thought about that? Like, we've got Postmates, we've got all of these different, I could imagine loving being a mom and things like that, receiving my, you know, food or my pizza or whatever from a kid. And I think, I'd pay extra for that. I'd pay the, on Postmates now, you have the ability to do priority delivery. What if you had the ability during certain hours to have, support Teen Hustle? It's just a out of bounds idea. But I was just thinking about that, just being a mom and a parent and wanting to support kids. But we're all so focused on using Amazon as a way to get our packages, where you're asking like a big audience to reroute their daily activity and order through you, correct?
So just to respond to the restaurant, we do offer restaurant delivery in the locations that we're active. That's actually how we identify some of the locations that we expand to. We look for about a dozen restaurants, usually anchored by a grocery store, and we offer select convenience items from the grocery store and food delivery from restaurants. And as far as the having them reroute their Amazon package delivery schedules, it's just safer for them. If they ran into the problem of porch package theft because Amazon delivers it to them when they're not home or they're on a vacation, Teen Hustle just circumvents that problem by having it sent to the Amazon locker or one of our Amazon hubs that we develop, and the Teen Hustlers just deliver it to them when they're home, and they actually get to dictate when the package is delivered, which is just safer all around. And especially during this time, we offer the convenience of at-home delivery of not just the Amazon packages, but food and convenience items. And during this time, I think customers would choose not to go out and order from Teen Hustle.
And then I have one more question, like, how's the insurance? Because I'm imagining a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds running around on a scooter, and it scares the daylights out of me. So who's managing your insurance costs? Because I would imagine one kid gets hurt or gets hit by a car and that whole business is going under tomorrow. So is there someone stepping in and helping you guys navigate that?
Yes, that's definitely important. And we have certain security measures in place. Like, we have a helmet that's equipped with a GoPro camera. Each Teen Hustler has to undergo training on the electric scooter and personal bike. And we also have them go through a mandatory food safety handling course, so they become certified in that. We also have, we're working with a company called Solo Protect ID. Basically, it's a two-way communication that can put you you in contact with an emergency response center. So there are, and we do have someone helping us with the insurance side of that, but we're also trying to prevent that with those certain security measures.
Hey, Jack, there's no rollerblades involved in here, is there?
No, not as a
Okay. I like that imagery too, but that's fascinating. Really great stuff.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations to you, Jack. You were really doing great things. One of the things I was thinking about was you might want to reach out to the CEO of TaskRabbit and ask if she might become your mentor. That might be something really helpful for you. I also am concerned about your liability. You know, the last mile delivery is Amazon's #1 problem. And I'm really afraid for you as a teenager to try to take that on for them because it is their single #1 most costly issue. So you want to make sure that you are protected, but you're very, you're so energetic and you've got so many creative ideas. I look forward to what you become in the future. Now, to conclude our event today, we have a message from Miss Teen USA, Kaliegh Garris.
Hello, my name is Kaliegh Garris. I'm Miss Teen USA and the founder of the We Are People First movement. Now, I'd like to say that I have big dreams, and I still do, but I wanted to tell you about the time I was able to make one of my dreams a reality. It all started when I was younger, and I would go shopping with my family and my sister, Chantel. I started recognizing that people would stare at her or point at her, and I wasn't sure why. She has a beautiful smile and a loud laugh, so I thought maybe that got them. But then I started realizing it's because they only saw her because of her wheelchair, because she speaks in a different way that people don't deem normal. And I wanted people to see my sister the way I saw her, for being loving and a beautiful sister. So I started my movement of We Are People First, where I educate people how to interact and communicate with those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Now, fast forward 10 years, I travel all around the nation, going to different schools and organizations and teaching them how to use We Are People First. Now, this is something I never thought would grow to such a great skill. But with my hard work and determination and the help of others, I was able to turn my dream into a reality. My question for you is, what can you do today to take the first steps to follow your dreams?
All right, there you have it. That was a beautiful message from our current Miss Teen USA. Now that concludes this episode of The Arena. I want to thank all of our young entrepreneurs who joined us today, and a big thank you to Tracy Tutor and Brian Hamilton for your invaluable insights, guidance, and encouragement to these exceptional young people. Entrepreneurship is the engine that drives innovation in our country, and it's incredibly important to encourage the next generation to take on this challenge because it is such an important calling. Thanks also to the Brian Hamilton Foundation and Junior Achievement for supporting this effort. And finally, thank you students, educators, and parents who took time today to be a part of this fantastic event. Thank you all and have a great day.